yeah, I should win just because you had the Timberwolves in the 8th seed.
Vasilevsky's been playing really well, and the Lightning have a great offense.
Yeah, it was a tremendous shot, and I've come to expect it from LeBron. I would say I wish the best for the Red Sox, but as a Yankees fan, that's really hard for me to do.
The biggest addition to me is Jalen Brunson.
Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Why'd you have to name him? Like, seriously. Like, thanks, man.
Who would have thought 5 years ago that the Clippers and Nets would be facing in the finals?
How is Joe Burrow going to get the ball to them if his butt is already on the ground?
Crazy. And for the fans at home,
Hello, I'm Cy Mendenhall, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. A week or two ago, the man that brought up this question and also brought up this one, Austin.
Yeah, the Sixers have had a rough start to the season with injuries to Paul George, Joel Embiid, and now Tyrese Maxey. Embiid's back, but they still, like I said before, have struggled to start the year. And Kevin, really the question I'm wondering is how long does Embiid have to prove that he can be a championship-level player and lead the Sixers to the promised land?
That's a really good question. And it is something kind of, they were on our championship or bust team of just, this is the year for him. They went out and get Paul George, who is aging. They do have a young player in Maxey who won Most Improved Player, I believe, last year. And I would say, of course, like the easy answer, of course, is his career. But I would say in this environment, 2 or 3 years, because they did just sign him to an extension, but you got to think about his health and his age. He's a guy that's already balancing his health, and his health has been called into question, which I think are all fair questions. So I'm going to say next 2 to 3 years. And I don't think to prove, well, I guess he does have to win a championship to prove that I think as long as he just gets it to the conference championship, a lot of these questions will go away.
But he's already won an MVP, and I think that MVPs are treated differently than the average player. Yeah, I mean, we see Jimmy Butler lead a Heat team twice to the finals, and he's never been considered a MVP level player, at least in the regular season.
You do bring up a great point talking about that. So yeah, he is a top 3 player, and you should be contending for the finals with a top 3 player, top 5 player even. And you haven't seen that in the playoffs. There's always questions about him playing, and this has just been a terrible start for the Sixers.
Does the process die with him, or does the process already over?
Ooh,
because he's always someone that always is like the process.
I think the process ends with him.
I agree.
Because he was the guy like, hey, it was like, trust the process. We have Embiid, a high player. Then you, of course, had Ben Simmons. So I would say part of the process ended when Ben Simmons was traded, just that fall of a career arc. But I would say the process ends with him. It keeps going as long as he does it, as long as he is part of the Sixers, playing contributing minutes. Since he signed the extension, and like players can request trades whenever, but I don't really see them losing as a cause for concern of him asking to be traded.
I agree, because I don't even know what a trade would look like for him. He's extremely talented, but like you mentioned a couple minutes ago, always injured. And for the amount of money that he's making, it makes it hard to make a move for him because there's no guarantee that he's going to play a certain number of games.
Now, I'm wondering if you look at Kawhi, and I know Kawhi has had incredible success, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP twice. But you got to wonder, I think you almost have to start game planning like the Clippers do for Kawhi and just the injuries. Even though Embiid was out last season, but he's not as knee injuries keep bothering him. It's just more a preventative measure with Embiid of he doesn't play back-to-backs or anything like that.
And he's had a lot of foot injuries, a lot of knee injuries. He's had a lot of injuries across the board. And Kawhi's legacy is already cemented. And I think if he never played another NBA game, we would all know how great he was. He was a top 5 player in the league. He was the best player on the Toronto Raptors when they won the title. And he was, I don't know about the best player on the Spurs when they won that year, but very close to it if he wasn't. And his ability to guard LeBron during that series was definitely why he won Finals MVP. But I just think people remember certain players if they're injury prone in 2 different ways. It's the Kawhi way or like the Tracy McGrady way. Where McGrady had a lot of injuries, and it's always a what if. I don't think people ask, like there are some what ifs with Kawhi, but people kind of stay away from them, right? It's the Spurs that one year when he got hurt and they were up by a lot, but they were facing the 2018 Warriors, and there's no guarantee, or 2017 Warriors, and there's no guarantee that he is good enough to will the Spurs for 7 games or for 4 wins in that series, even if they do win game 1. I think what he's done is prove to everyone that he is worthy of praise, worthy of a Hall of Fame spot. And while definitely Embiid is too, because he's won an MVP, if you're a 76ers fan, I don't think you look at his career with the Sixers as a success if he leaves without a title.
Yeah. And that was the whole promise of the process. And I do agree with the what if. You don't have a what if with Kawhi because you just would have kept playing at the level and who knows what would have happened, but you're pretty content with his career. You do have those what ifs with Embiid. And I think maybe last season was what if because of the injury after his MVP. And now this year, I don't blame it all on him, but it's just if he doesn't make it to the playoffs, which I think is start fair to consider since they're 2-9, then the questions are just going to get even louder, even though they are dealing with a lot of injuries. You have the Paul George injury before, and then Embiid has his own injury. Now, to me, Tyrese Maxey is really the clincher that hurts with his injury.
Yeah, and even though McCain's playing extremely well, he can't carry this roster. So it's really going to come down to can Embiid stay healthy and will them to enough wins to get them into the playoffs? Because I do believe they'd have a shot against any team because Embiid's that good. But he's also struggled in the playoffs comparatively to the regular season. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, and that's really where that what if comes because you have just the accumulation of games played in the playoffs and you keep pushing. So that's really where the what if comes because he'll struggle and then it's like what if he's healthy because it always comes out that he's dealing with something. So it really is tough. And so yeah, I say 2 to 3 years. Of course he has his career, but with this type of Sixers team, the process was to get a championship. How many years do you give him?
It's the rest of his contract that he has right now. Because once you're getting close to 34, 35 like he is at the end of his deal, with these injury concerns, I don't know if he can play long enough at this high level to truly be the best guy on the championship team. And I think if you're winning a title as a third guy, it's not the same like legacy builder that it is if you're the best.
Yeah, that's a great point you bring up, and just bringing that up. 5, this rest of the contract is a good year. I do think at the end he starts to get closer. That's why I'm like 2, 3. Maybe I'll go 4, 3 to 4. Because you got to think there might, if this doesn't work out, they're going to have to go into sort of another rebuilding phase of accumulating players because they've been able to avoid that with the Ben Simmons. But it really is the rest of his contract, and then the easiest would be rest of his career, but I'll say 3 to 4 years as my final answer. That is all we have for this video. Let us know your thoughts. Do you disagree with us? Do you think there's too much pressure on Embiid? And we appreciate all your comments, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if it causes a lot of discussion, then we will sometimes answer it. But if you want to know when our next episode's coming out, it's usually the next day as we are a daily podcast. But also you can look at our Twitter account, or a former X, formerly known as Twitter, and then also our Instagram account, or hit that bell and get notifications. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.